Good day, YouTube. It is I, the real Randy Chavez, coming at you with a Pokemon sales data video. There's a lot of stuff to go over. So we had a entire first edition PSA 10 Holo set, all of them thick stamps. And for those of you that don't know, thick stamp is like where the one is thicker. Where on the first edition, it's just a thick number one. Some people prefer thin, some people prefer normal. I feel like most people prefer thick stamps, though. That's just what this person happened to collect. That was my friend Mark. He had a very good week. He had a very good week because they were all his. Now, Alakazam sold for $15,100. A Blastoise sold for $35,300. Chansey sold for $32,433. And Charizard, with a record price point for this auction, sold for $350,100. That absolutely shatters the old record of $298,000 by, well, over $50,000. Clefairy had $10,700. Gyarados had $15,580. Hitmonchan, $14,922. I think that's a little undervalued. Machamp, $5,321. Magneton, $8,200. Mewtwo, $20,100. Nidoking, $7,700. Ninetales, $15,780. Poliwrath, $11,300. Why Poliwrath's getting a lot of love? Because there are not a lot of Poliwraths. There are well under 100, so they're very rare. A lot are in collections. You're just not going to see them out. Even last PwCC auction, you didn't see one. They are not traded very often, so when one appears, it's going to get a premium. Raichu, $14,878. Venusaur, $21,989. And Zapdos for $10,100. Now, why I said Charizard had the record price point until that time was because there was a company called SGC, there's a grading company called SGC, and there's a first edition Charizard, and it looked like a 10. But you don't really go to SGC or CGC or any of these guys unless you go to PSA first, or BGS, and most likely those guys did not give it a 10 because you just don't want to go to other lesser names. So this probably got a 9.5 if it went to BGS, or it got a 9 at PSA, but it got a 10 at SGC, and somebody paid $369,000 for it. My God. And these closed within a couple of hours of each other. I think within 2 hours. So you definitely see, a couple of people that bid $350 for it, and that's some of the Trophy Kangaskhan one where one sold for $150, or one sold for $150.1. The next highest bid was $150. Next highest bid was like $140. But then you see that, and you knew that this auction was going on. So you just look at it and say, like, okay, I'm going to get that because who knows what the next one's going to go for? Who knows when the next one's going to be even available? Obviously, with each new record price point, you might have one or two people come out of the woodwork saying, you know what, I bought this for like $40,000 a year ago, and they just decide to cash in. So we do have a couple of others for base set. We have Arcanine, PSA 10 sold for $665. Chansey first edition BGS 8 sold for $650. A Chansey first edition BGS 9 sold for $23.25. Charizard first edition PSA 7 sold for $11,990. Again, bit of a retrace, but it had sold for $10,000 previously, so we had the retrace. Going to go back up. Charizard first edition BGS 9. It had a 9.5 for the centering, 8.5 for the surface. So for me, surface is most important. So the fact that this got 8.5 for the surface, I would not have bought it, even though it was a BGS 9. So for $41,600. And Charizard first edition PSA 9, so for $41,100. Just a $500 difference, very, very minuscule. But this is the bottom. Maybe you could see like other auctions that are on there or that are not PWCC that get for less, and I'll show you examples. Gyarados first edition BGS 9 for $17.24. Another Gyarados first edition PSA 9 for $25.50. Magneton first edition BGS 9. These are all first edition BGS 9. Magneton $21.40. Ninetales $14.21. Zapdos $14.83. And then a Shadowless Charizard PSA 9 sold for $9,100. I say that because there was another Charizard BGS 9 sold for like $33,000. I don't have it on this because it was just too much data, but it sold for literally $33,000. So that is the bottom. If you can get it for that, it's good because that doesn't even make sense because less than 10. The 10 would be selling for more than 10 times what the 9 was. So if you can get it for 35,000, I think it's a good deal. Anything under that, yeah, anything under 35,000, fantastic deal. Gold Stars. All of these are PSA 10. Mudkip 5,100. Torchic $25,400. It was at $15,000, and I was like, this will probably sell for 22. And everyone's like, that's a lot. It's only 25,400. Trico 7,600. Groudon 4,126. Kyogre 2,550. Metagross 3,700. Latias 20,100. And Latios 10,902. Why was there a big difference? I have no idea. They're both pretty hard to grade, and they both have this. The pop report for both of them are relatively similar, so I don't know why Latias got double the amount as Latios, unless it was just a week 10 for Latios. I didn't look. Rayquaza PSA 10 sold for $45,100. Entei sold for $990. Raikou sold for $1350. Suicune sold for $2102. Alakazam $2676. Celebi $1925. Gold Star Charizard this got $19,400. This is not as big of a dip as the Shining Charizard, where Shining Charizard went from $25,100 to like $14,000. This went from $25,100 to $19,400. Gyarados Gold Star PSA 8 sold for $771, and the Gyarados Gold Star PSA 10 sold for $11,348. I remember a couple months ago when the 10 was getting like $4,000. I was like, this is stupid undervalued. There's less than 30 PSA 10 copies. It is literally a shining Gyarados. Now, I understand that you have the first edition Gyarados. You have, and I'm not even going to include Legendary or Base Set 2, but outside of that, you have the Dark Gyarados, the Dark Gyarados pre-release, Dark Gyarados non-holo form, Misty's Gyarados, Giovanni's Gyarados. So there's a whole bunch of them that you have before you get to the Gold Stars. And then finally, they bring out the shiny Gyarados for the Gold Stars. Intense. So moving on to more Gold Stars. Mewtwo, again, they're all PSA 10. 5,673. Pikachu, 6,750. Regice, 2,550. Regirock is 1,425. Registeel, hey, have a good night out. Registeel is 1,501. Mew Gold Star sold for $4,900. Flareon sold for $2,102. Jolteon $741, and Vaporeon $1,175. So from these, we can kind of look at that the Flareon and Vaporeon were all right. So yeah, I'm just trying to get the Legendary Beast to the evolutions, and Entei beats Jolteon 990 to 741. Raikou 1,350 versus Vaporeon's 1,175, and Suicune's 2,102 sold for the same as Flareon's 2,102. So they're pretty neck and neck, but people like the Legendary Beasts a little bit more than the evolutions. Neogenesis, I'll get to them. Actually, I think I have two Neogenesis. Yeah, I do. All right, so Neogenesis, it's we have a box that you could have gotten for maybe $12,000 a couple months ago. First edition box sold for $38,100. Joe, I'm going to salute you for that. That is one of the most fantastic buys you've ever done, and that alone is worth more than like half my Charizards. Moving on to the cards from Neogenesis. We had a Lugia First Edition PSA 7, sold for $19.76. I think that is a record price point. Lugia First Edition BGS 8, sold for $13.75. It was very weak 8. Again, anything under a 9, I don't buy for BGS. Lugia First Edition PSA 8 sold for $25.50. BGS 8.5 sold for $24.25. Slowking PSA 9 sold for $4.90. I think that's extraordinarily undervalued as well. There's like 13 PSA 10 Slowkings, and we just haven't seen a sale. That's why the 9 is so low. Typhlosion 17 First Edition BGS 9, very, very weak 9s for $2,050. And Lugia First Edition PSA 9s for $7,977. Not a record price point by all means, but based on that, the 8s and the 7s should move up now. Moving on to Fossil. There's so much data to go over this, so be prepared for like a 30-minute video. All of these are First Edition PSA 10. Actually, no, they're not. I'm gonna. Aerodactyl, first edition PSA 10, 1575. Articuno, first edition PSA 10, 2300. Ditto, first edition PSA 10 for 788. Later, Lou. Patreon. Oh, yeah, Patreon. Down below. Thanks, Lou. We have this inside joke about BoJack Horseman and Mr. Peanut Butter and how when he gets excited, he barks. So it's not me having like this crazy form of Tourette's, although, no. Dragonite first edition PSA 9 sold for $800. Dragonite first edition PSA 10 sold for $6,300. Let's do some math real quick. Let us go to my calculator and do 800 times 5. 4,000. Okay, so that is definitely, I'm just doing, all right, 800 times 8. 6,400. Okay, so you see how this Dragonite first edition PSA 10 sold for 6,300, which is between the 5 and 8 times what the 9 is selling for. So I just had it side by side. I was like, all right, let's do this real quick. Gengar first edition PSA 9 sold for 520. Gengar first edition PSA 10 sold for 3050. That's between 5 and 6 times. So again, between 5 and 8 times. Haunter first edition PSA 10 sold for 490. Hitmonlee first edition PSA 10 sold for 1380. Hypno first edition PSA 10 sold for 610. Kabutops first edition PSA 9 sold for 198. And Kabutops first edition PSA 10 sold for 860. I think this actually does not work. 198 times 5. It definitely does not work. Where'd it go? 990. Yeah, so that does not work. That is one of the exceptions where some cards, some 10s will sell for 10 times what the 9 is selling for. Some 10s will only sell for 3 times what the 9 is selling for. Kabutops is that example. Oh, Lapras. First edition PSA 10s for $26.55. I still think that is very undervalued. There's much less than 100 PSA 10 copies. The fact that you can get that for under 3,000 and a Dragonite that you can't get for under 6,000. This Lapras is, again, if you go by the games, Ice-type Pokemon. And the only thing that Dragons are weak to in Gen 1 is Ice. You can make the argument that Bug Pokemon too, but literally Bug Pokemon had no move in Generation 1. They had 0 moves. They had Twin Needle and Pin Missile. And Twin Needle is god-awful. It can only be learned by Beedrill. And the only bug move that is learned, like Pin Missile, is Jolteon. The only way to beat this Dragonite is if you overlevel a Pokemon, or if you maybe try to like a normal type stab move. No, it's a Lapras. You need an ice type Pokemon. You get that Lapras after you save the president of the, or no, it's not even you save. You're in the Rocket, not even Rocket's hideout from Celadon City. You're in Saffron City in Rocket Tower, and this one guy just gives you a Lapras. You got to train him up. That is how you beat Lance. That is how you beat the Dragonites. Very undervalued in my opinion. Magneton first edition PSA 10 sold for $385. These are all first edition PSA 10. Moltres $1,200. Raichu $1,077. Zapdos $860. 2 promos here. We had a Grand Party promo PSA 10 sold for $29.25, record price point. And a Masaki Omastar PSA 9 sold for $528. Love that card. Love Masaki. Jungle. We have couple of these first edition PSA 10. Clefable, $38.66. Electrode, $8.16. Flareon, $22.75. Jolteon, $2,800. Kangaskhan, $26.51. Mr. Mime, $11.17. Nidoqueen, $10.25. Pidgeot, $14.58. Pinsir, $8.80. Scyther, $18.21. God, these are incredible. Jolteon, these are all first edition PSA 9. Jolteon, $524, Kangaskhan $325, and Pidgeot $315. Again, those Pidgeots are fan favorite. That is something that I would recommend. If you can't get the PSA 10, definitely go for the PSA 9 because that's something that's one of Ash's Pokemon. That's one of the best bird Pokemon in Gen 1. I know technically Pharaoh is better because it has the Drill Peck, but if you have a Pidgeot that knows Mirror Move and it has higher speed and just I always use Pidgeot just because of that one episode where Pharaoh is beating up all the Pidgey and Pidgeotos, and Ash's Pidgeotto has to evolve. That strikes a chord with you. Like people would rather use a Pokemon with lesser base stats that has just a weaker Pokemon than use Pharaoh, a stronger Pokemon, because it's a fan favorite. Because Pharaoh's mean. Moving on past that, we have a Snorlax first edition PSA 9 sold for $990, and a 10 sold for $87.10. So I have to revise this a little bit. Why I wanted to say, like, hey, if you can get a Snorlax under $1,000, it was a fantastic deal, is because Snorlax sold for $15,000 2 auctions ago, then 12,000, now under 9,000. So I have to reverse this a little bit because the 10s have not been selling. They've been regressing, downward trend consistently. So I would say if you could still get Snorlax at like $800, I think that's a good deal. You know, $800-900, because that Snorlax versus PSA 9 sold for $990. I've seen them sell for over $1,000, but now that the 10's going down, the 9 will surely follow. Same thing with Vaporeon, first edition PSA 10. It was at 12,000, 11,000. Now it's 8,100. This one sold for. Vaporeon first edition PSA 9 sold for 700. Venom. The rest of these first edition PSA 10. Venomoth 585. Victory Bell 1035. Vileplume 990. Wigglytuff 1525. And Rhydon, again, I put Rhydon in there because of that story I told the other day. Sold for 124. That's just something that you have one of those Pokemon that can surprise you. I think in Gen Heart Gold and Soul Silver and Fire Red and Leaf Green, it could learn Surf because of that one episode. It's so cool. And Gym Challenge, we do have a bit to cover as well. Arcanine first edition PSA 8 sold for $295. I'm sorry, Blaine's Arcanine, and then Blaine's Arcanine first edition PSA 9 sold for $662. Very low end. So if you got that, if you have an extra $500 to $800, get that Blaine's Arcanine first edition PSA 9. There's not a lot of 10s. There's like 140 PSA 10s. I have 4 of them, so it's very hard to. So 2-3%. I don't know. I can't do math right now. Blaine's Charizard BGS 9 first edition 1900. PSA 9 sold for 1600. Another PSA 9 sold for 1525. So the PSA 9 Charizards before this you could not find for under $2,000. 3 of them sold in one auction, all of them between $1,500 and $1,900. And a Blaine's Charizard first edition PSA 10. Again, we were seeing sales for $13, $11, $10, $9, $8, now $7,700. Hell of a retrace with this. Again, there's a lot more of these in the PSA. 2 years ago there was like 172 of these. Now there's 400 PSA 10 copies. I have 6 of them. I don't know if I want to sell. I might have to. I also did get a $4,000 offer on Misty's Golduck. I declined that because I don't want to sell it for that price. I might have to next month if push comes to shove. Brock's Ninetales. This is something that has just been steadily increasing. The dip has not affected this card at all. First edition PSA 10, $761, another record price point. Misty's Gyarados, first edition PSA 9, sold for $330. Rocket Zapdos, first edition PSA 10, sold for $3,150. That is the largest gap I've ever seen. I think one sold for $1,500 once and more than doubled. This is something I'm not 100% sure how to view, because I remember one time we had a Steelix from Neo Genesis, first edition PSA 10. We had a couple cards that were listed on eBay for like, $90, $100, and one on auction sold for $500. And I was like, this is weird. And the seller went on E4, said they paid for it, sending it out. So as soon as I saw that, buy. I bought one for $100. Like, oh, all right, works. And then 2 years later, sold it for $5. So this is something that I would see if clearly people are willing to pay more than 25. 2 people were at that $3,100 mark. So if you see others that are on sale for $1,300, $1,500, buy it. Even if there are others that only go to $1,200 right now, clearly you have people willing to pay that higher price point. So I would say do that for now. Hollow Blaine first edition PSA 10 sold for $810. Giovanni sold for $455. Sabrina sold for $771. We have not had a trainer go over $1,000 yet. I think Blaine will be the first one. And then we had a Gym Challenge box, first edition, sold for $20,000. I was so close last year to buying one for like $4,400. I didn't do it. Regrets all around. Gym Heroes, we had Blaine's Moltres first edition PSA 9, so for $610. That is a record price point. They've been averaging about $490, $500. But since 2 sold for $5,000 and like $5,400, the 9s are going to climb. Tennis Surge's Pharaoh first edition PSA 10, so for $1,400. Rocket's Hitmonchan, so for $510. Remember when I told you guys to buy that for $300? $510 now. Sabrina's Gengar first edition PSA 9, so for $850. Misty trainer card, $541. And Team Rocket trap card, $275. Went over Neo Genesis. Okay, Rocket set. Alakazam, PSA 10 silver, $960. There are 5 Dark Charizards first edition PSA 9. That's why these have been going down. There's so much product out there. 1126, 1025, 1124, 1251, 1025. Okay, all right, so 5 of those PSA 9s and then 1 PSA 10, which sold for $6,800. Again, the 5,000 that sold a couple auctions ago, or last auction, that was probably the rock bottom for it. It should really only go up from here, or at least stay steady. Dragonite first edition PSA 10. Again, Dark Dragonite, $45.50. Dark Gyarados, $870. Dark Hypno, $405. Dark Slowbro, $490. Yeah, a Dark Slowbro first edition PSA 10 should not get as much as a Slow King from Neo Genesis PSA 9. Slow King, that should be so much more in my opinion. Because that's the card that has it's the first appearance of the card. It's a holo. One of the only characters that can speak English or can speak human. It's featured in the movie 2000. It's peak. Vileplume, $600. Rocket Sneak Attack, $196. And a Dark Raichu sold for $30.50. All right. Almost done here. Promise, guys. Neo Discovery. Houndour, first edition PSA 9, sold for $326. I got it. 200, like 2 months ago. Politoed, PSA 9, sold for $240. Poliwrath, sold for $138. Okay, so Neo Discovery, Poliwrath, I get we've had a couple of them before, but this is something that you have he is a fighting type Pokemon. He is Red's Pokemon in the manga. Well, I mean, I got him as a Poliwag. We're introduced to him as a Poliwhirl. But Lieutenant Surge kicks Red's ass. He gets electrocuted. He falls off the side of the ship. He's about to drown with Poliwhirl right there with him. But right when they're in the Vermilion Sea, right next to the SSN, they find the Water Stone there. Gets the Water Stone, evolves. Now he's a fighting Pokemon and can kick the electric Pokemon's ass. I don't know why this card is like so hated that PSA 9 only got $138. When I have a little more money, I'll buy a PSA 10. Actually, yeah, I don't know what the PSA 10 would go for. Probably the math should work out where it goes to say 5. So 5, so 250. It's about $750, $800. But I bet it sells for less. And if you can get that for under $750, $800, buy that. Poliwrath first edition PSA 10 from Neo Discovery. Fighting. Scizor, PSA 9s for $308. Smeargle, PSA 9s for $285. That's something that's incredibly undervalued as well, just because the 10s don't set. Like, there are no sales data for the 10s, at least in the last 2 years. Someone is private. Again, let me know. I'd love to add it here. Tyranitar first edition PSA 10s for $925. Ursaring PSA 9s for $203. I got that $140 a couple months ago. Yamna PSA 9s for $432. I'm very glad that broke. A couple months ago, you can get it for like $170, $200. Now that people realize, okay, Yamna sold for like $15,000. So yeah, it's $432. Umbreon first edition PSA 10s for $10,100. People love that card so freaking much. I wish that Espeon from Neo Discovery sold for that much, because that's what I have, but I digress. Neo Rev, we have Ampharos first edition PSA 9s for $305. Delibird sold for $153. I love Delibird. I love that artwork. I've said this before. I think I sold mine, unfortunately, but I really want a PSA 10, because, again, there's not a lot of them. First appearance of Delibird, and I get it. In the games, that is a very weak Pokemon. That is something that just has a low base stat, but it's an ice Pokemon. You could use it to fight Claire, for an ice-type Pokemon. It's just, I adore that Pokemon. It's cute. It's featured in the Pokemon Stadium games. Oh, finally, Shinings. Shining Gyarados first edition PSA 9 sold for $12.14. Shining Magikarp first edition PSA 9 sold for $9.35. Shining Magikarp first edition PSA 10, $24.50. And a Shining Gyarados first edition PSA 10s for $62.55. My Shining Gyarados PSA 9 for $2,000. Someone bought it for $2,000, but they didn't pay for it yet. They bought it yesterday. I was like, okay. I messaged them today, like, hey, as soon as you pay, I'll ship it out the next day. Tomorrow, I'll give you tracking. But nothing as of yet. So I'll keep you guys posted on that. Some more Shinings. We have Neo Destiny. These are all first edition PSA 10. Celebi, 3605. Charizard, $14,200. This is what I meant by the biggest retrace. It was the Shining Charizard. Because you had the Gold Star Charizard, which went down to 19.1. And then you had the Charizard Holo from Aquapolis, which went down to maybe $20,000. But this went down from $25,100 to $14,200. That is a huge haircut. Kabutops, $14.75. Shining Mewtwo, $49.11. I wish I was higher, because again, I have one. Noctowl, $18.25. Raichu, $3,200. I've seen a bunch of these sell recently. One sold for $4, one sold for $2,900, this sold for $3,200, so it's trying to find its footing. I might have to sell mine soon. Steelix, $14.07. Tyranitar, there's two of them. They both sold for $4,700. It's pretty incredible. Usually there's at least some price difference. And a unlimited Shining Charizard sold for $5,700. I think that should be a little higher, because Shining Charizard and Blaine's Charizard, unlimited Shining Charizard and Blaine's Charizard usually keep neck and neck, like within a couple $100s of each other. And this obviously sold for $2,000 less, so I think that should be a little higher. That is it. Sorry for this huge ass long video, guys. I know it was a pain, and this is literally only like 65-70% of the data. Tomorrow's video is going to be big also. I love you all. Bye.